It sounds like having your cake and eating it too, a world where investors can do well while still doing good. Joining us now for more on what social finance can deliver, Bill Young, founder and president of Social Capital Partners, Narinder Dhami, executive director of LEAP, the Center for Social Impact, and Tanya Sermon, founding executive director and current CEO of the Center for Social Innovation. And we are happy to have you three here with us in our makeshift studio still in Leaside. Good to have you aboard. I want to talk about social finance, social innovation, venture philanthropy, community bonds, green bonds. These are all terms that you're all well aware of, but I'm not sure everybody knows what they are. So let's go through this. And Bill, start us off. What is social? When you refer to social finance, you're talking about what?
Well, I'm talking about let's say a construct where you try and marry two things. You try and marry a financial return and you with a social return. And normally we think those two worlds are separate, that when you invest in a product that tries to derive a financial return. And when you do good, you give a donation to a charity or a government gives a grant. And this is a world where you blend the two, where the organizations, social finance organizations, are actually trying to generate both a financial return and a social return. The idea behind it being, as a society, we need more sustainable ways to solve structural social challenges. And this notion that we give checks or the government gives checks and we solve social challenges isn't sustainable. So how do you harness market forces to do good?
Tanya, the assumption is you can't do well while doing good. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Well, absolutely not. And I think one of the things that we're learning in the field of social finance is really to go back to what are they investing in? And so we first have to understand the concept of social enterprise. So before social finance can step in, we need to understand that there's a whole new movement of nonprofits and for-profits that are making their social impact a priority. And so what they are doing is they're finding strategies and ways to use market forces to solve real problems or challenges in their communities. So this is a new type of organization. So the Center for Social Innovation itself is a social enterprise. We then would work with our finance partners to be able to use social finance to help us to capitalize our projects and initiatives that we see solving social and environmental problems.
Did I read right the other day you guys are doing so well you're moving out of your building? You need more space?
Well, yes, we are. We're a social enterprise that operates now 5 locations. And what we do is we provide collaborative workspace for now over 800 social mission organizations, both in Toronto and in New York City. At the core of our ability to do this social enterprise work, though, is as a nonprofit, we can't access venture capital to be able to capitalize our growth and expansion. So we need new tools. And so we've created new strategies, new financial tools to be able to solve those problems. In our case, we created the community bond as a way to use the power of community to capitalize our initiatives.
Hold off on that. Community bond is another thing. We're going to come back to it.
Great.
Narinder, I want to follow up with you on this, though. Notwithstanding everything you're saying, my assumption is most people are going to think, I can make X doing what you do, but I can make X times 3 if I invest in something that's not good for the environment, not good for society, it may have strings attached that are less felicitous, let's say, to what we do. Again, is that not the case?
No, so I think you have 2 types of people who play within this space. Mm-hmm. You have impact first investors and finance first investors. And the impact first investors, will be okay with taking a lower type of return. Because there's that social good that's created. And that in itself.
And that counts for something.
Yes. And that has transformative impact when you think of building in sustainability into the work that's being done. On the other side, there are individuals that can show, and microfinance is a great example, that you could do good and generate a strong financial return. So it's not one or the other. You can have both.
Okay. Venture philanthropy. What's that?
In some ways, Narinder is better to answer that, but venture philanthropy is, it's not necessarily a social finance term. It's where you take venture capital principles and apply them to help grow scalable social change ideas. So it may not be in the form, it may be something, I think it's really, at the heart of what LEAP is doing, where you take, and Pathways to Education being a good example of an organization that has a great breakthrough idea. And then the venture capital principles are, how do we do the same thing for a social change organization as a venture capitalist does in the more conventional one? We'll provide some funding, might be in the form of a grant. We'll provide some expertise in that we'll sit on the board, we the venture philanthropist will sit on the board and use our networks the same way a venture capitalist does to actually help with the strategy, the funding, and the go forward strategy. So it's like taking and one of the great things that that show the need for venture philanthropy was, I remember seeing this slide when I was starting Social Capital Partners in 2001, looking at what I was going to do and didn't settle on this model. But slide one was, here are the top 50 companies in the world. And you'd see names at 2001 like Cisco and Dell and Microsoft, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Literally half the names on that list had been started in the last 25 years. Slide two was, here are the top 50 not-for-profits in the world based on their program spend. Names on that list were United Appeal, Easter Seal, Salvation Army, literally these organizations that have been around 100 years.
Right.
Only one name on that list had been started in the last 25 years. That was Habitat for Humanity. And that was the visual proof that we don't have the same kind of mechanisms in the nonprofit sector to take the great social entrepreneurs who are working on an idea in their garage the same way the Bill Gates or Steve Jobs who are working on their idea in the garage. They've got the mechanisms in the traditional commercial world. In the nonprofit world, there isn't. And so the idea was to take those principles to the nonprofit world through venture philanthropy.
Okay, next instrument, green bonds. What are they?
So I would actually think Tanya is
You want to do green
better
bonds?
Oh,
I'm happy to do
well,
that.
let's have Bill do
Green bonds are, you've seen them both on the large scale. Now I think both TD and RBC have done green bonds, where they issue a bond, and the proceeds of that bond go to invest in some form of clean energy. You also see some really interesting smaller examples, something like SolarShare here in Toronto that is a cooperative that will invest in solar energy projects and issue bonds where, and I think in the case of SolarShare, not at such a huge level that only institutions can play, that other investors can. But it's effectively a bond where the investor knows that money is going to clean energy.
I think actually the Eglinton Crosstown is being partially funded in Toronto by a Government of Ontario floating a green bond.
Yeah.
Because it's all, public transit. Yeah. Okay, you talked about a community bond a little while ago. What's that?
Right, so it's very similar to any kind of bond. I mean, a bond is a type of investment tool. Now, what's different about the community bond is, as a nonprofit organization, we have not understood how to access that capital. And so what we did is we said, okay, how do we take our social capital, the fact that we have tens of thousands of relationships in the world, in our community that we serve, and how do we turn that into financial capital? And so we created a community bond, which is basically an interest, it's a debt. So somebody chooses to invest in a bond, we are issuing them debt, and we promise them a 4.5% rate of return over a 5-year term.
And why would they want to do that?
Well, one, hopefully, our investors are pretty much supporters of our vision and our mission in the organization. They're interested in making sure that they both get their capital back and receive a fair rate of return. Now, 4% is an interesting rate. It is higher than what you're going to get from a GIC, but it's probably not what you're going to get from a venture capitalist investment. So we've sought to set that rate in a way that we're able to attract the impact investor or the social financer who wants to help us to support our vision and our growth and our expansion. So interestingly enough, our very first investor in community bonds is actually sitting right beside me here. And we were able to raise, in the purchase of our first building 4 years ago, over $2 million in community bonds from unaccredited and accredited investors across our network in under 8 months. We're doing it again. As you mentioned, we just bought another building, 192 Spadina. This one's quite a bit larger, and so we've got a $4.5 million bond target. We're at about $1.9 million so far, and we're looking to raise the balance. Now, why this is so important is In 5 years, they can choose to take their money back with their 4.5% return, or they might choose to reinvest and roll it over. But what they've done is they've given us access to the capital to grow and to expand and to serve. In the case of the new building, it'll be over 300 social mission organizations.
Is he going to get his money back?
You better believe
He's
it.
already received his money back
Is that
on
right?
the first one.
That's right.
And interestingly, and with all the interest, and I am an investor in the second one, but one of what makes it an easy investment is, and this is one of the interesting things about social finance. I mean, it's the lens you look through when you look at it. I would be delighted, because of the work they do, to give a grant for the amount I'm putting the bond on. So I can't lose on this.
So in other words, you're prepared to just sort of...
Well, I'm not. I mean, I do look, I do not for a second.
I shouldn't have said that out loud.
No, but it's interesting as an investor. You say, I cannot lose on this investment because this is such a great organization, the Center for Social Innovation. Be delighted to give them a grant. And again, as it turns out, I'm going to get all the money back and have with interest. But it's, it's a simple investment for someone like me to make when you're thinking as a philanthropist. If you're looking through that lens, I think this is a great organization to support, as is this one.
Now you're going to have to write a bigger check before you leave this place.
But as an investor, it's incredibly solid being able to, if you look at their track record in terms of leasing up their buildings, et cetera. But it's a no-lose for me.
I'll just say one thing that's really important too. On both of the buildings that we've purchased, we've been able to access capital from a number of interesting places. The thing that's been very different about the community bond is that we've actually been able to access investment dollars from unaccredited investors for investments as low as $1,000 investment. Now, this is quite different. This is really part of what I would call citizen finance, where we're looking at tapping into those dollars that wouldn't otherwise be involved in the finance market at all. So where the community bond is, yes, open to foundations to invest from their capital funds, which is huge, it's also open to be invested from everyday people. And so in our most recent building purchase, we've raised $1.9 million. Of that, 60% of the investors, that's from 90 investors, 60% of those investors are our own members. Now, what that does is that changes the dynamic that we have with our community. It gives everybody a chance to be a part of social finance. And it starts, I think, raising and elevating the conversation around how is your money being put to work? What are you invested in? Can you actually explain where your dollar's invested? And so one of the things that's really interesting and exciting about this field writ large is it is coming together and it is bringing the power of individual investors to become more aware of how their money's working. It's giving concrete strategies for foundations and institutions to be able to invest and actually get those monies back. And we're solving and addressing concrete problems that might otherwise be paid for by government and government dollars.
Okay. Narinder, give an example of something that you're working on right now.
Yeah, so we are a venture philanthropy fund, and we apply private equity principles to support and to scale charities. One of our first investments is SNAP, which is Stop Now and Plan, a program that's run out of CDI. It's a program that CDI, the Child Development Institute. Okay. Fantastic organization and fantastic program that works with children with behavioral problems and their parents to help them make better decisions in the moment. This is an evidence-based program that has quantifiable social impact, and that's very key to the way we look at any of our investments. We want to pick charities that have a strong social return on investment. And with SNAP in particular, there's huge cost savings to government when you look at the justice lens or you look at the health lens. And so we're working.
The money you put in now is money you won't have to spend building prisons down the road or whatever.
Exactly. Kind of it's the early intervention in this particular program that will result in long-term savings to society and in particular to government. And so our project with them, it's a 5-year engagement. We're going to scale and support their scale across Canada. And so if you think about the economic impact of taking SNAP proven program and putting it across the country, allowing it to touch thousands and thousands of children each year, it's enormous, and there's enormous benefit for the government.
But the difference here, I guess, if it's venture philanthropy,
Yes.
you're not expecting to quote unquote pay anybody back.
No. So our objective is to embed the business support and the support of our private sector partners, Boston Consulting Group, Ernst & Young, McCarthy Tétrault, Cassette, and Alfred Group, and embed those within the charity so that we can apply kind of the business growth principles to help a charity that has high impact scale, and addressing, to Bill's earlier point, this fragmented sector of charities that exists.
If you don't run into the Bill Youngs of this world who
Yeah.
are prepared to say, this is so good, I'll give you a grant.
Yes.
If you actually want a return on your investment financially, this is not the play, right? This is strictly philanthropy, what you're talking about here.
Well, one of the things we're doing with the charities we invest in is building in sustainability. So how can we get the charity self-sufficient in the long run? So that is a lens. You know, our work is we do work with donors that want to support this type of growth. So they would give donor dollars to the center, and then we can unlock this support. But that financial piece is what we embed within the charities, and that sustainability piece.
All of what the three of you are involved in, if you are successful, I presume, relieves a lot of the pressure on governments to have to fund a lot of this stuff, because otherwise people would be pressuring governments to do these things. So my question is, Bill, for example, do you meet with governments and make the case that we're doing good here, you should support us, because then it gets you out from under obligations that you might otherwise be under?
Yes.
That was a bit of a leading question, wasn't it? So how does that
Do
work?
I have productive meetings? I mean,
Put us in the room. How does that work?
well, maybe taking you back a little bit too, in terms of, you know, how we think about government, or you know, for instance, there was a task force on social finance in 2010, and there was just released a G8 actual task force on impact investing, which is the same where Canada had to put out a separate report. In that, there are a whole bunch of recommendations for government in terms of, and in the task force report, they centered on three issues, really. So the 2010. How do you mobilize more capital for this? So what government can you do to help mobilize more capital? Because it's in your interest to do this. This is a great way, governments, instead of writing checks yourselves, to find more sustainable ways to solve these structural social challenges. So how do you create an enabling environment? Because our whole regulatory framework right now is based on 300-year-old case law in terms of what a charity does and what a nonprofit does. And that doesn't encompass actual, you know, revenue-generating activities or trying to be sustainable. So new organizations that are trying to figure out these sustainable principles run headlong into sort of regulatory challenges in terms of doing it. And then the third one was, you know, how do you create good places? How do you governments help accelerate creating good places for this mobilized capital and this enabling environment to put the money in? And there's a series of recommendations. I've been involved both at that macro level, talking to governments on. I've been involved in a micro level in that we have, as an organization, run into our share of challenges navigating our way through this. So
Do they get it? When you go to government, you make this pitch, do they get it?
it depends who you go to. So many cases politicians do. In many cases, because the charitable and nonprofit, and we're all nonprofits, you've got a registered charity, but you know, our regulator for nonprofits and charities is the Canada Revenue Agency, and the Canada Revenue Agency is, I mean, they're
Still catching up.
I'm channeling my lawyer here as I think about my answer to this question. But their mandate is to catch people who are operating outside boxes, thinking that that's probably bad. They don't actually apply necessarily judgment on whether what you're doing is really good or not. It's whether, are you outside the box? Well,
And you guys
you're
are.
inevitably outside the box, and that's sort of some of the government stuff.
But I will say what's interesting is actually every level of government in Canada right now is looking at this field. And in this province, they've created, through the Ministry of Economic Development, the Office of Social Enterprise. And they're really struggling to, and working very hard to look at how do we create that enabling environment. And so, you know, one of the, an example, and Narinda mentioned microloans, there's the Ontario Catapult Microloan Fund, which is a program that we offer at the Centre for Social Innovation that's funded with support from the Government of Ontario. This is a way that we're able to provide $5,000 to $25,000 loans to support the growth of social enterprise. Now, this is concrete and real, but it's just the beginning. And I think what we are looking at as a sector is saying, okay, what are the financial barriers to doing this work, and how do we come up with new models for this? What are the regulatory barriers, and how do we educate the policymakers to understand that we're not out of the box, we're actually just trying to push the agenda and help.
Well, let me follow up with Bill, because you did use that expression. Give me an example of a project that you're into that is somewhat out of the box and therefore officials may not get it.
It's out of the box, and usually enough, the officials are beginning to get it in the sense of one of the things we do. We're about finding employment opportunities for people who face employment barriers, single moms, new immigrants, at-risk youth. One of the things we've done is we've said, okay, we're going to lend money to the owners of, and we've done it to 79 locations of different franchise business owners. Conditional, we lend the money, we make it subordinate to their bank debt, we do it at attractive rates, but the condition of our loan is they have to implement a community hiring program. They have to agree to a fixed number of their employees being hired through these community service agencies we work with. But our promise back to that business owner is we say, we'll get you a competitive pool of candidates to choose from, but our loan is conditional on this. We also tie our interest rates to the number of community hires. So we link these inextricably. As they hire more, their interest rates come down.
That's quite the incentive, you would think.
Quite the incentive. But as a regulator of a nonprofit or charity, you're trying to say, well, is this charitable? You're lending money to a private sector business. They're implementing a community hiring program. You're charging. Aren't they getting a private benefit out of this? Or how does this all? And
that's where it starts to break down.
That's why
and those are some of the things that,
Yeah.
and plus they don't see charitable organizations as making loans necessarily, or you know, it's challenging. Now, on the other hand, sorry to interrupt, but we have now gone to the government of Ontario from this, you know, trying to say, oh, we actually want to facilitate social finance. So we went to them and said, okay, why don't we construct a program, a community employment loan program, whereby you offer an interest rate subsidy to small businesses, any small businesses that implement a community hiring program. And why don't we structure it to try and the subsidy you offer is paid for by the savings you get, so that we will structure it in a way that the people who are eligible to be hired are on some form of government support. And why don't we put a retention number in there so that the subsidy isn't paid until they have been retained long enough, so you, the government, knows that you've received way more in the savings from not paying the support than you're offering in the interest rate subsidy. And we went to the government with this. They said, okay, let's do a feasibility study. Deloitte's did a feasibility study, said there'd be $140 million of savings from this and tens of thousands of jobs if you did this. And we've announced a collaboration with the Ontario government to try and get this in place. So
We're down to our last 30 seconds. Why
I
don't you
wanted
take
to
it?
add in another opportunity for government is, and we've seen this with Pathways, which is a proof point to the work that we do, is to invest in charities and support charities that have that quantifiable impact and that can generate that return on society over the long term. So we know this is very important to the government with the decreasing amount of funding available. But by selecting charities like SNAP or like the Mentoring Partnership, which is our second investment, they can quantify the impact they're having and be able to understand each dollar that they put into one of these charities will generate X amount of impact, societal impact in the future. So huge opportunity for government to do more with less if it's using a lens of SROI.
Gotcha. I get this a lot better now. Thanks to the three of you for coming in. Bill, please pass along to Cousin Bob my profound thanks. He owns the Hamilton Tiger Cats, everybody, and they had a really fine season and came very, very close in the Grey Cup.
Very close.
Anyway, Bill Young, Social Capital Partners, Narinder Dhami, Executive Director. Can I call it the PICO Center for Social Impact?
We were incubated by the PICO Center.
You're
so
incubated
sure.
by
Yes.
them. Okay. Tanya Sermon, CEO, Center for Social Innovation. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Support Ontario's public television. Donate at tvo.org.